Guys, welcome to my channel. We are reading A Dog's Journey by W. Bruce Cameron. We are on chapter, I think it's 3? Yeah, chapter 3. When we got to the cool room and I was lifted onto the metal bed, I thumped my tail and shivers with pleasure. I loved the vet, who was called Dr. Deb. She touched me with such gentle hands. Mostly her fingers smelled of soap, but I could always catch the scent of cats and dogs on her sleeves. I let her feel my sore leg, and it didn't hurt at all. I stood when Dr. Deb wanted me to, and I was lying patiently with Anna in the small room when the vet came in and sat down on a stool and scooted it over to Hannah. "It's not good news," Dr. Deb said. "Oh," Hannah said. I felt her quick sadness and looked at her in sympathy, though she had never been sad with Dr. Deb before, so I wasn't sure what was happening. "We could take the leg, but these big dogs don't normally do well with the rear one gone, and there's no guarantee the cancer hasn't already spread. We might be simply making him less comfortable in what little time he has left. If it were up to me, I would just do painkillers at this point. He's already 11 years old, right? He was a rescue, so we don't know for sure. But yes, around that," Hannah said. "Is that old? You know, they say that labs average 12.5 years, but I've seen them go a lot longer. It's not that I'm saying he's already at the end of his lifespan. It's more that sometimes in the older dogs, the tumors grow more slowly. That would be another factor to consider if we're thinking about amputation. Buddy has always been such an active dog. I just can't imagine taking his leg," Hannah said. I wagged at hearing my name. "You're such a good dog, Buddy," Dr. Deb murmured. I closed my eyes and leaned into her as she scratched my ear. "Let's start on something for pain right now. Labradors don't always let us know when they're hurting. They have an amazing pain tolerance. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk. Threshold. When we got home, I was given a special treat of meat and cheese, and then I got sleepy and went to my usual spot in the living room and collapsed into the deep nap. The rest of that summer, it just felt better to keep my rear leg curled up off the ground and rely on the other 3 to get around. So that's what I did. The best days were when I'd go into the pond, where the cool water felt so good and where my weight was supported. Rachel came back from wherever she had been, and all her children were there, and Cindy's children would come over, and they all lavished attention on me, as if I were a puppy. I loved laying on the ground while 2 of Cindy's little daughters tied ribbons into my fur, their small hands soothing as they worked. Later, I ate the ribbons. Hannah gave me a lot of special treats, and I took lots of naps. I knew I was getting older because my muscles were often stiff and my vision was dimming somewhat, but I was very happy. I loved the smell of the leaves as they fell to the ground and curled up, and the dry perfume of Hannah's flowers as they became bright as their stalks. "Buddy is chasing rabbits again," I heard Hannah saying one time when I was sleeping. I woke at the sound of my name, but I was disoriented, and it took me a moment to remember where I was. I had been dreaming very vividly of Clarity falling off the dock. But in my dream, instead of me being a bad dog, Ethan was 3 knee deep in the water. "Good dog," he told me. And I got the sense that he was glad that I had watched over Clarity. When she came back to the farm, I would watch over her again. It was what Ethan would want me to do. Ethan's smell had slowly left the farm, but I still felt his presence in some places. Sometimes I would go and stand in his bedroom, and it would seem as if he were right there, sleeping or sitting in his chair and watching me. I stood comfort from the feeling, and sometimes I would remember Clarity calling me Buddy. Though I know that her mother, Gloria, was probably taking good care of the baby. I always felt a little anxious when I thought of Clarity. I hoped she'd soon return to the farm so I could see for myself that she was all right. The cold weather came and I went outside less and less. Doing my business, I selected the nearest tree and got it over with, squatting because I could no longer lift my leg properly. Even if it was raining, Hannah would come out and stand with me. The snow that winter was a delight. It would support my weight just like water, and was colder and felt even better. I would stand out in it and close my eyes and was so comfortable. I felt as if I could fall asleep. The bad taste in my mouth never left me, though sometimes it was strong, and other times I forgot it was even there. The ache in my leg was the same way, though there were days when I would wake up from my nap with a start. The pain, a sharp, breathtaking stab. One day I got up to look at the snow melting outside the window, and it just didn't seem worth it to go outdoors to play, even though I usually loved it when the new grass would come poking up out of the wet, muddy earth. Hannah was watching me. "Okay, buddy, okay," she said. That day, all of the children came over to see me, and they petted me and talked to me. I lay on the floor and groaned with pleasure at all of the attention and the little hands on me, stroking me and petting me. Some of the children were sad and some seemed bored, but they all just sat there with me on the floor until it was time for them to go. "You are a good dog, Buddy. I will miss you so much, Buddy. I love you, Buddy," I wagged every time someone said my name. I didn't sleep in Hannah's bed that night. It was simply too delicious to lie there in my spot on the floor and remember all the children touching me. The next morning I woke up just as the sun was starting to light up the sky. It took all the effort I could muster to struggle to the standing position, and then I limped in next to Hannah's bed. She awoke when I raised my head and placed it next to her on the blanket, panting. I had a heavy pain in my stomach and throat, and my leg throbbing with a dull ache. I didn't know if she would understand, but I was looking at her in the eyes, trying to let her know what I needed from her. This wonderful woman, Ethan's mate, who had so loved both of us, I knew she wouldn't let me down. "Oh, Buddy, you're telling me it's time," she said sadly. "Okay, Buddy, okay." When we walked out of the house, I limped to the tree to do my business. Then I stood and looked around at the farm in the light from sunrise. Everything painted orange and gold. Water dripped from the eaves, water with a cold, pure smell. The ground beneath my feet was moist and ready to burst forth with flowers and grass. I could smell the new growth just beneath the surface of the fragile mud. It was such a perfect day. I made it to the car okay, but when Hannah opened the rear door, I ignored it and shuffled sideways until my nose was pointed at the front door. She laughed a little and opened the door and picked up my rear to help me in. I was a front seat dog. I sat and looked out at the day, which carried with it the promise of warm breeze. Snow still lurked where the trees were most dense, but it had given up in the yard where Ethan and I had played, rolling and wrestling together. It seemed as if I could hear him at that moment telling me I was a good dog. My tail thumped at the memory of his voice. Hannah reached out to touch me often on the ride in to see the Dr. Deb. When Hannah spoke, her sadness came off of her in the gust, and I licked the hand that was stroking me. "Oh, buddy," she said. I wagged. "Every time I look at you, I remember my Ethan, buddy. You good dog. You were his companion, his special friend, his dog, and you led me back, buddy. I know you don't understand, but when you turned up on my doorstep, it led to Ethan and me getting back together. You did that. It was no dog could ever do more for his people, buddy." It made me feel happy to hear Hannah saying Ethan's name over and over again. "You're the best dog, buddy, and really, really good dog, good dog." I wagged at being a good dog. At Dr. Deb's, I just sat there when Hannah opened my door. I knew there was no way I could jump down, not with my leg. I gave her a mournful look. "Oh, okay, buddy. You wait here." Hannah shut the door and left. A few minutes later, Dr. Deb and a man I had never seen before came out to the car. The man had cat smell on his hands, plus a pleasant, meaty odor. He and Dr. Deb carried me into the building. I did my best to ignore the pain that flashed through me as they did so, but it left me panting. They put me on the metal bed, and I was hurting too much to wag. I just laid my head down. The cool metal felt good as I spiraled on it. "You are such a good dog," Hannah whispered to me. I knew it wouldn't be much longer now. I focused on Hannah, and she was smiling, but also crying. Dr. Deb was stroking me, and I could feel her fingers looking for a fold of skin up my neck. I found myself thinking a little clarity. I hoped she would find another dog soon to watch over her. Everyone needs a dog, but for Clarity, it was even more of a necessity. My name was Buddy. Before that, it was Ellie. And before that, it was Bailey. And before that, it was Toady. I was a good dog who loved my boy, Ethan, and had taken care of his children. I had loved his mate, Hannah. I knew that I would not be reborn now, and that was okay. I had done everything a dog was supposed to do in this world. The love was still pouring off of Hannah as I felt a tiny pinch between Dr. Deb's fingers. Almost instantly, the pain in my leg receded. A sense of peace filled me, a wonderful warmth, delicious wave of it, supporting my weight like the water in the pond. The touch of Hannah's hand gradually left me, and as I floated away in the water, I felt truly happy. Oh my gosh. That's sad. Oh man, that was a sad chapter, guys. I will see you guys in chapter 4 in the next video. Thank you guys for listening.